Alright, this card kind of got swept hard out the way by the Paul Diaz circus, and that's a shame. I'm actually waiting for that fight to start very shortly myself. I called this as a reward for the hardcores among us, and this one kind of delivered for me. There were a few coma-inducing snooze fests sprinkled in, but a fun card overall. Let's get into it right now. Firstly, damn that ref, man. That dude was jacket. Anyway, right, sorry, the fight. I called this one incorrectly. I expected this one to go the distance, and for Osbourne to just make this a fight. Outside of a cut he got by being active on bottom in the first, which was a little lucky, he kind of sliced him with the glove. He did fuck all in this fight. Asu had a massive reach disadvantage, but was loading up on the feet and somehow landing. He was showing excellent entries, took Ode down pretty easily when he did go in. I hate dudes that wet blanket, and yeah, this dude is not about that. He's active on top, almost had a Peruvian necktie at the end of the first round, and was actively seeking ground and pound. I'm all for that. Second round, once it went to the ground again, it was pretty much a wrap. I was pretty impressed with the tiny Kazakh, and I admit I underestimated him and called him a can crusher. He stayed patient and found the neck. Looks like a bobblehead, but looks like a really good fighter. To be honest though, I'm more disappointed with Ode than I'm impressed with the Kazakh. Poor performance from Ode, who completely ignored all of his physical advantages. Damn man, Woodson is a strange looking human, weirdest alien body type. He's 6'3" at featherweight. Easy to call yourself a sniper when you're as tall as John Jones and fighting midgets all day long. Gross weight bully shit. Bazukya came in really short notice, but works in Aljo's team, so you know he's getting the work in. Throughout the fight though, Woodson just had the superior boxing, had the reach advantage, and while I find it disgusting, I appreciate a dude that, unlike Ode, actually uses his advantages. Woodson edged a competitive first round with nasty body shots, picked at range. The majority of the second was Woodson on top looking for subs, and Bazukya did well to stay patient and survive. Ended the second actually by reversing position and ground and pounding, but he still lost the round pretty clearly. Third round was a little bit scrappier. I give credit to the newcomer for relentlessly sticking to his game and trying to land takedowns when he had no chance standing. Pretty clear Woodson win, but I think Dennis gets another shot. He's only 25, he showed heart, took the fight on a few days notice. Woodson on the other hand is going to be a hard out for anyone with that alien body at this weight class. Man, I fucking hate Cody Durden. Something about this prick really boils my piss, so this one's going to be really salty. First round, Durden was able to control on the ground, and Hadley made the mistake of being too comfortable and showing no urgency to get up. He kept going for sweeps, attempted to get position against the decorated wrestler when he had his biggest advantage on the feet. This is inexplicably stupid. The round was punctuated with a nasty elbow by Durden inside that cut Hadley, and he looked well on his way to an easy W. Round 2 though, Hadley kind of flipped, dominated on the ground, and almost found an armbar that was locked in. He was fighting for it for about 2.5 minutes. Durden managed to slip it and had about 10 seconds of ground and pound, which somehow won him the round. I'm going to get into that. I personally had it 1-1. Now we get to the third, and again, I don't understand the choices here. If Hadley keeps it on the feet, he has the advantage and looked to have more in the tank, so naturally, he goes for a fucking takedown. Like, why? Why are you doing that? He clung to the leg and seemed content to get rained on. This did get called 30-27 for Durden, which is kind of bullshit. But, you know, he won the fight, so who cares? Durden is annoyingly resilient, but I'll keep betting against him because I hate his guts. Fuck him. I'm actually fuming about this one. Alright, Damon Jackson's tattoos are very distracting. What the fuck are those lines down his back? Jesus. Anyway, after watching the first round taking place in a water tank, I thought we were in for a stinker. Jackson is so goofy in his striking, but he was landing and I could not understand how or why. Silly Billy looked a step slower and then he got taken down. I was fearing the worst. Clear Jackson first round then, but then bodywork baby. Billy stopped headhunting in the second and started exclusively ripping hard to the body. You could actually see Jackson wilting like a flower without water. They rolled around on the ground a little bit, but Billy won the round with significant bodywork, and this set up the third, and with the body softened, he just started mixing in head strikes, finding more success. Credit to Jackson who was puffing hard, but was still trying to grab and fight back. Jackson did get a takedown towards the end of the round, but who gives a fuck? Cruz then started creaming his pants, saying that Jackson won the round. He got clearly outlanded significantly, 4 strikes to 1. This isn't 2005. I used to respect that, man. This was a clear 2-1 for Billy, and it was scored exactly that. Thank God. It was a fun fight. I always rip fighters for being dumb as fuck, but the tactical adjustment here by Billy was excellent. Well done, not so silly Billy. Well, this fight happened and you could feel the air being sucked out of the building. I'm not adverse to grappling and control time, but this was wet blanket dogshit 101 from Wells. The lowlights were this. First round, Harris somehow managed to survive what looked like a brutal guillotine choke. Second round, Wells wrestled more and did nothing with it, aside from a few ground shots towards the end of the round. Wells was stinking this up and I was very concerned. Ha ha. Then came the third, with the MMA gods clearly fuming, and boy did some chickens come home to roost. Wells clearly thought he had this figured out. Went in for another wet blanket push to the fence to drag Harris down, who locks in an arm over and anaconda choke. I've never really seen anything like that. It didn't really look like it was in, but Wells I guess was bored of his own performance and just fell asleep. What a comeback win in what was 95% a fucking horrendous shit fight. I called it for Harris, and hearing him beg for a bonus for his 6-month fold kinda hit a little bit hard for me. I bet he doesn't get one. Alright, on to Kyla the bearded lady Phillips. Okay, he finally makes his return after apparently popping. We should be booing this person. The variety on display from Phillips here was just sensational though. He was hitting jabs, counter lefts, right hooks, going for spinning kicks, back fists. He was popping out jabs, he was kicking to the body, kicking to the legs, switching to the head. Barcelos showed a hell of a chin, but I think the first round was defined with a wicked fast shot down the pipe that dropped Raoni. Phillips went into the second showing the same diversity and was so elusive and hard to read and telegraph. Was catching Raoni at will, who finally got annoyed and went for a clinch and nice takedown. Phillips showed great scrambling and saw the round out going back to popping away. Third round was a little bit closer as Phillips started to waver himself. The men traded strikes pretty well, and that will be a concern going forward looking at Phillips. The potential is there though. He's excellent on the feet, is so hard to get down, and is a menace on the ground. Yeah, Phillips ended up winning by decision. I had it 30-27 or 29-28, and it turned out to be a mix of these. Nice win though for Phillips. Alright, I've disrespected Klein a lot during his entire UFC run, and fuck, I think it's time to eat some humble pie. Klein played this excellently by making sure that the kicking range wasn't there for Bahamondez, and he looked slick and powerful up close, ripping fast combinations and ensuring that he wasn't there to be kicked at range. Once he had established respect, he was able to use his impressive power at this weight class to bull rush into Bahamondez and land massive double legs to get him to the ground. Bahamondez didn't entirely look like a fish out of water on the ground and was trying to snatch limbs, but Klein stayed composed and built up a lot of damage there. For me, the rounds were pretty much a mirror image of each other, and I'm done with the Klein hate now. He did a great job and deserves massive respect for neutralizing a dangerous opponent that clearly has a lot to learn, but he is 25. Yeah, this was a fun scrap. It was very unskilled, I'm going to be real. Camur has a hell of a chin, but the man is so fucking slow. Boser spent the majority of the fight landing the bigger combinations and played the clinch game pretty smartly. Camur was winging shots, and this gave Boser the perfect opportunity to step in and land those combinations. While they both hit fairly heavy, it didn't really feel like a KO was coming. I said I liked the distance play, and this cashed really nicely. It was a clear 30-27 win for Boser, and similar to the last fight in that all 3 rounds were pretty similar. Camur had 1 or 2 moments, but was too easy to telegraph and showed he has nothing outside of a plan A. He's definitely getting cut. I don't think Boser's chin problems are really answered either, which made this fight kind of pointless. I think his power doesn't translate to light heavyweight, and he's going to get slapped by anyone in the top 15. It was a fun but sloppy scrap. Oh Jesus, yeah, this one started with the nut shot to end all nut shots landed by Tucker. Lopes must be unsullied. Fight restarted and Tucker went in for a very steady takedown, landing right into a triangle. He did his best to fight it off, but Lopes had it in deep and pretty much snapped his arm. This man is fucking awesome. What a fantastic win. One thing I do need to say though, Michael Bisping. He walked away 5 times during this card when dudes were clearly waiting for their time on the mic to issue a call out. I think he gets a lot of shit for his commentary, which is actually a guilty pleasure of mine. But for a man with such a big mouth that made his career out of call-outs, you are fucking careers up, mate. Enough with debate questions, and just ask who they want next, for fuck's sake. Alright, the WAM referee was back in the cage. This was another fast one. I picked Jocoby, and I thought it would be a scrappy, slow burner that went to a decision. Ha ha, fuck that. It was over quick. As soon as I saw the fight was playing at range and Kennedy was chasing him, I knew he was about to get popped. Kennedy's best work is clinching, and it was clear Jocoby was not willing to let him play that shit. He caught him with a check right as he came running in, and then pounced on him. I do actually think this was a little bit of an early stoppage, as Kennedy was blocking on the ground, and he was still clearly there. But I bet on this shit, and I'm going to take it. I've been fucked the other way multiple times, so you have to take the gifts when they come in this game. Nice win, and another win streak absolutely dismantled. Alright, I had a bad feeling about this one. Andrade has either, the capability of being the hammer or the nail. She seems to go back and forth with that, and it's kind of the epitome of that kind of back and forth. She has the danger to come and crack. On paper, this should have been a whooping, and it was a little bit messy, to be honest. Now, Suarez did do excellent clinch work in the first round well, stuck to using her range. Andrade was doing well to stay away from Suarez's power hand. She was kind of circling out of it. Suarez is strong, but sometimes her technique seems a little off to me. It's hardly textbook. Anyway, she managed to dominate on the ground. Then the second round started and my concerns were eased instantly. Suarez managed to land a takedown early. She went to go and set up a DAS, which Andrade kind of slipped out of, but it just led her into an easy transition into a gilly, which in women's MMA and BJ white belt first classes is it's like kryptonite. She didn't even need to lock their hands to secure the choke. Nice scalp, but I'm still kind of a little bit unsure about Suarez. I still think she's got a little bit to work on in this division if she's going to challenge someone like Wei Li. Alright, this was not the stand-up affair that people were expecting, but I actually respect Sanghagen for taking this approach. He clearly respected Font's threat coming in and set out a clear, distinct game plan. Switch stances, be elusive on the feet, engage in a stand-up, and then as soon as the takedown presents itself, shoot and control in the half guard and land shots. Rinse and repeat. Font kind of played his part in this being repetitive, as he kept going for sweeps when he was on bottom, but getting up is easier said than done with a man lurching all over you this tall. Problem I have with this is that we know what a fucking baby Dana White is, and despite a dominant win showing off a new wrinkle, it's probably done nothing but actually lower his stock. Shame this was a dominant, high IQ performance. He's most likely come through it with an injury, but will need 2 fights now instead of 1 to get to the belt. I know how good Font is, and I respect the approach on this one. Another W for me. Not the most exciting fight, but hell, it was an enjoyable card overall. Alright, so I went 9-3 overall on the card, which took me to 209-100, which, surprise, surprise, again, I'm stuck at 67%. I'm going to be back next week for Luque versus... Damn, who's Luque fighting? Oh yes, Dos Anjos. That card is actually fucking terrible on paper, but I'm going to be there and I'm sure you will too. Have a great rest of the week.